Welcome to the Dialbox Recording Booth Plans Tools and Materials chapter. Here are some tools basics. Shown here is a skill saw, power drill, and last but not least, a Dremel tool. Here are some more tool basics. Caulking gun, hammer, tin snippers, scissors, wire cutter, and tape measure. A caulking gun is mandatory. You won't need the hammer. You'll only need the tin snippers if you're doing metal edging. You won't need the ratchet. You definitely need the scissors, the wire cutter, and the tape measure to perform your job. Now let's cover the different driver bits and drill bits you will need to construct your booth. If you're installing a custom mic jack box, you'll need a 15/16 speed bore bit, a 5/16 pilot bit, and a combo 1/8 inch pilot bit, 2 1/8 inch pilot hole bits, and last but not least, a number 2 Phillips driver. Now we covered this drill in your last chapter, but here's the SKU and price. It's a very reasonably priced drill. It is a corded drill, but it works great. Now if you're a contractor, you're going to have all of these tools. If you're a weekend warrior, some of these tools. I highly recommend checking out Craigslist to buy inexpensive tools. Make sure you have a sharp blade for your skill saw to make your life easier. A dull blade can really make it tough to cut. For those of you who aren't going to have a table saw, this saw guide is a great tool for doing long rip cuts of your side panels. And here we're just showing you some professional contractor tools. This is not mandatory. You can still do very straight cuts with a circular saw and a sharp blade. And here's a compound miter saw. Now for cutting your 4-inch diameter holes for the ventilation system, you're going to need a Rotozip or a Dremel tool or a jigsaw. I've seen great prices on Craigslist for used Dremel tools, anywhere from $5 to $10. Now to cut your 4-inch diameter holes for your ventilation system, you're going to need this saw guide for the Dremel tool. The Rotozip comes standard with that, but you are going to need sharp blades. Rotozip blades work great for the Dremel or the Rotozip. Okay, here's a hand and knife blade for cutting your excess carpeting for exterior finishing, and also for your base unit cutting off the rubber matting. Be sure to have sharp blades, they wear out fast. We covered this in your previous chapter, but you're going to use a number 2 Phillips driver bit and some 1/8 inch pilot hole bits. Vocal booth materials. You have 2 options for your panel materials, OSB or MDF. For most singers, hip-hop vocals or voiceover work, OSB or oriented strand board will work fine for isolating. For maximum isolation from external noise, I advise the better safe than sorry rule and use MDF. Although it is twice the cost of OSB, it yields a higher sound reduction. Your standard 2x4 is actually 1.5 by 3.5 inches in size. Be sure to take your time and pick through the pile of 2x4s to make sure you select the straightest, highest quality lumber. You're going to fill your base unit and top of your booth with insulation. Make sure you wear protective clothing and a HEPA mask when working with this material to protect your lungs. Here is the rubber workout matting you will use as a silent floor for your booth. Now let's go over the hardware or fastener section of your materials list. Metal edging works great for aesthetics and protects the corners of your recording booth. This is optional but does help soundproofing and structural rigidity. Here are the 3-inch screws for building the base and top unit framework. For your base unit panels in your top unit, you will be using 1 5/8 inch deck screws. You will also use these screws for your ventilation panels, exterior wall panels, and mounting internal bracing from the outside of your booth. We have included a few lighting options in this version of our plans. The most inexpensive one is a simple mushroom light. Installation is easy. Option 2 is a single xenon puck light used in cabinet lighting. The third option is a low-profile LED light. The advantage of this lighting is the bulb never burns out and it has no heat signature. None of these lighting options require a bulky transformer. Simply drill a small hole in the top of your panel and install your light fixture to a small piece of painted MDF. Now wire an extension cord or lamp wire with a simple switch. For more internal control of lighting, you can always mount a simple wall switch. An inexpensive alternative to your acoustic foam installation is PL375, but the best option is Loctite Power Grab. Loctite Power Grab is a water cleanup. PL375 is not, so depending upon your budget, you can make your choice. You will be making use of silicone to seal the different sections of your booth as well as the ventilation. Be sure and use rubber gloves when smoothing over the beads. Make sure to prep paint before applying clear silicone because it does not take paint. This is the open-time carpet adhesive for applying the workout matting to the base and your carpeting to the outside of the panels. A simple notch trowel can be used for adhesive application. Finishing. If you do not own a paintbrush, rather than spending a lot of money, buy something you can dispose of when you're done. Semi-gloss paint looks much better than spray painting your internal support beams. Apply multiple coats between dry times to conceal the wood grain. Doing this gives you a glossy finished look and blends seamlessly with the clear silicone you will be applying to seal your panels and door frame. This tin snippers can be used to clip the wires in your flex duct for the ventilation system and also works well for cutting metal edging pieces. Silver stair edging can be used as your door seal's threshold and for exterior metal edging. Finishing your booth with carpeting makes it less reflective in your mix room and protects the panels from dents and dings. It also minimizes high-frequency reflections in the mix room that it sits in. If you have enough clearance and an industrial floor, casters work well to isolate the base frame of the booth and allow you to move the booth to different locations around your room. As an alternate option, round slider pucks work great for the 4x4 and 4x6 booth on hardwood floors. You will be using this sponge rubber to build door stops for your 360-degree door seal. This is the insulated flex duct you will need to cut in half with a tin snipper to run the turns for your ventilation system. Simple backdraft vents are an ingenious way to connect your flex duct to the ventilation unit. This is covered in the ventilation chapter. These worm drive clamps are used to hold the flex duct to the backdraft damper units. You will be disassembling and cutting down this 24 by 80 pre-hung door and modifying the stops. A simple, inexpensive closet doorknob for your booth will work like a charm. Optional window. These pre-cut dowels will be cut to fit, prep painted, pilot hole drilled, and used as silent window stops. If you own a table saw, you can cut custom pieces for this to save money. One or two 18 by 24 plexiglass sheets can be used for your booth window. Our design allows for simple installation of this panel without cutting. Here are the mounting clips you will use for installing the ventilation unit. We advise using the Tex panhead lath screws for a nice finish. Cable through port. A cable through port is a cheap, fast alternative to a mic jack box and allows you to run any cable type you wish into your booth. If you know how to solder and make your own cables, you can build a custom mic jack box with headphone inputs that connect to a 25 to 50 foot snake. That snake will run into your mixer or sound card. Here are the basics you will need from Home Depot. If you decide to build switching for lighting or ventilation fans, this simple single gang switch box and a 2-pole switch can be used. You can buy a short run of indoor electric cable, then splice a used or new extension cord from the fixture you wish to control. Here is the electrical tape you need to splice your 120mm vent fans to your fan controllers. Also shown here are wire nuts for splicing electric cable for lighting and switch boxes. This concludes our tools and materials list.